voice you had.
Why isn't it starting? Welcome to Friday with Friends.
Ooh, you really hit that note today.
I've been training.
It's gonna be a good one today, folks.
I'm feeling good. Hi, Alyssa.
Oh,
So, welcome to Friday with Friends. Friday with Friends is our opportunity to talk about what's happening in the market, to answer a lot of questions so that when you have any real estate needs, you know that you can come to us and we'd love to be your realtor of choice when you have any real estate needs.
exactly.
So, the nitty gritty, I'm Mandy.
Hi, I'm Abby.
And obviously we're with the friend team at Keller Williams, and today we want to chat about first-time home buyers.
Ooh.
And go.
Especially in this market, because there's a lot of buyers who are maybe renting right now and they're hearing everybody say, oh my gosh, the market's so crazy.
Yeah.
Why would I put myself through that? I'll just renew my lease for another year. And especially, in the summer when maybe leases are turning over and you have to make that decision. A lot of buyers are saying, I'm not going to deal with this crazy market. I'm just going to wait another year. But we're here to tell you that it's never too early to start, and might as well dip your foot in. Is that what you said? Is that
Dip your toe in the water,
toe in.
just to see if it's a good fit.
Exactly.
And what we're going to be doing today is kind of going through what our first-time homebuyer seminar is typically about, and it's really a high level. And we're going to be moving pretty fast just to be able to kind of keep it going. Either of these topics we talk about could be an entire conversation and could be an entire Friday with Friends. So if you do feel like there's some need for more information, feel free to reach out to our team. We can do consults. We can do a phone conversation. We've even gone into workplaces as a value add for your employees, or to a group of friends who say, listen, we're all thinking about it. We all have some different questions. Can you guys come out and do that? And that's what we definitely would love the opportunity to do for you as well.
Yeah, and normally we've done a lot of these seminars at banks and for loan officers and things like that. So we've done it a bunch of times, and it really gives a really in-depth but quick overview of the entire process, because a lot of first-time buyers don't really know where to start.
And that's normal.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Alicia. So the other thing that we always talk about too is how this could be a first-time home buyer, or it could be a buyer who just hasn't bought in a little while too.
Yes.
So if you haven't been, if it's been a couple years, make sure that you're not feeling like nervous. Well, I did it before and I'm not a first-time home buyer. You are still a perfect fit for this conversation today.
When you went from, this is going to be my 5-year house, to 15 years later, and now you're ready to go.
Hey, it works. So Abby came up with this awesome idea, because when we're doing a lot of this, we've had a lot of questions that people bring up, and a lot of the questions that we see repeated a lot. So we've kind of built those into the conversation today. But to make sure it's not confusing, look what Abby did. Her buyer hat. Oh, can you handle it? I know.
So when we are pretending to be the buyer and the other is being the agent, we'll put on our buyer hat just so it's clear.
Yeah, it's not confusing. And please make sure that you're commenting. Please make sure you're helping us share. If you know of a friend, tag them on here that might be able to take advantage of this information. And if you have any questions or any tips or extra thoughts, feel free to comment below, and we'll make sure that we can keep up as much as we can.
Good idea.
All right, let's get into it.
Number 1.
Okay.
We like the countdowns.
We totally did a countdown. So we have 6 things that we're going through. First, the role of a realtor. Second one is when to start the process. Third, what a buyer's consult looks like. Fourth, property tours. 5th, offer and negotiation. And then 5 is just getting to close. So those are the big things we'll be talking about. Hope you are excited about them, and we'll get right into it.
Yes, clearly we are. We get a little excited. Okay, so let's talk about number 1, and that's going to be the role of a realtor. What does that relationship look like, Mandy? Why do I need one?
Oh, hang on. Wait. Excuse us.
We're learning.
We're new here.
Okay. I'll put it kind of up top. Not that
Megan, Dara. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. This is our buyer hat, so I'm the buyer.
Okay.
Mandy, why do I need a realtor? What would our relationship look like with you representing me as a buyer?
So typically there's two types of agents, and there's a lot more, but in general you have an agent that represents a seller and an agent represents a buyer. Here we'd be representing you as a buyer's agent, and the reason why understanding this is so important is because let's say you walked into an open house, and you walk into this open house and you fall madly in love with it, and you see the agent there that's hosting it, and you're like, this is my dream house, I'll pay $1 million for this house. Well, if that agent is representing the seller, their legal duty is to go back to the seller to say, hey, we can negotiate hard. These guys want it.
Yeah, they want it bad. Can I take the hat off?
Yes.
Just preliminary?
Yeah.
Okay. can't really see. Okay.
And so for us, when we're representing people on the buyer side, the key is that we're educating you to say, hey, listen, we're representing you. You can tell us everything. You can tell us your fears. You can tell us your passions. You can tell us, if you're really loving a house, and our job is to work in your best interest, to hold your cards, and to make sure that we're playing them in the right way. Right. So it's very important to know as an agent whose side they are on so that you're fully represented.
What does it cost to have you be my agent?
So when you are, whenever a seller lists their house for sale, the majority of the time, they'll list it and the commission is paid to the company who lists the house. And then they're also built into that commission is to the company who is bringing that buyer.
Got it.
So, New York State, it makes sense that fair representation is so important. So they want to be building that in. And so it's part of the sale. So it is already included in the price of the home is representation. So if you're not using it, you say, oh, I'm just going to use the seller's side, you may not be able to, have that strong enough connection and representation to feel that, you were represented.
Exactly. And I know Leslie, our buyer's agent, always talks about how she had one time where she had a buyer bring a check to closing or a blank check, and they're like, what do we owe you? And really, as a buyer's agent, your representation, is almost free. It's really paid for by the seller. So that's pretty cool. And that makes it even a easier and better decision to say, okay, I really need someone who's going to be on my side as my agent.
Yes, I love it. So that's number one. So it's the role of a realtor. If you guys have any questions on it, feel free to comment and we'll make sure that we're messaging.
Hi, Kels. All right.
Hi, Hannah. When do I start the process?
As Mandy being our buyer, when we start the process, we always say it's never, ever, ever, whoa, got excited. Never, ever too early to start the process. Mm-hmm. There's lots of different really cool financial options that your agent can walk you through, including grants, different things like that can actually take up to 10 months to a year to get that money in your pocket. So we always say you never know. Might as well reach out to your agent, begin that conversation so you can be educated, you can get a game plan going, and you can really start to feel comfortable with your decision to buy a house in the future. So it's never too early to start. Another thing is your financing. And we always say get the ball rolling on that as well, because you could have to clean up your credit. You could have to pay down your car loan. You could have to do a lot of different things. So start that process to get your finances in order. Again, it could take a few months. So get the ball rolling if you know that you want to buy a house next summer. Start now so you can start exploring those grants and financing.
Yeah, and the worst case scenario is you're ready to go. You talk with a loan officer and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about buying in a year, just want to make sure everything's good. And they're like, you are solid. And then you can kind of feel confident. Or they could say, hey, listen, you're close to a 10% down payment. You're close to a 15% down payment. And you can set those goals so you know what to expect. But that unknown can sometimes be a challenge, and that's why it's never too early. And that grant you mentioned, that's a 10-month grant, and New York State will give you up to $7,500 if you meet those requirements. So it's one of those things that if you are thinking about it, you definitely want to get plugged in.
Okay, we have a question,
Dara asked,
put on your buyer hat.
Dara asked, do buyers get a better price if they use the seller's agent? So this is a topic of conversation a lot of people talk about, and the reality is that commission, like I said, is already built into the commission. So that
no matter what.
So it would be going toward the seller's agent. So no, you do not necessarily get a better price. And you have to think too, if they're representing both sides, they're more of a transaction manager, and they can't really advise you on the strong negotiation techniques that they're skilled in.
And at the end of the day,
great question.
The loyalty really is probably to the seller.
Because they were that first relationship.
They were that first relationship. So without a doubt, every situation is different, but you just want to make sure that you have someone in your corner that you know is going to represent you fully.
Yeah.
So, okay, good question.
So the last piece on when to start the process, we talk a little bit about timeline. So Abby mentioned in the beginning about tenants and how you may be currently in a lease situation. Yeah. And so people say, well, when do I start figuring that out? Well, a standard close takes about 60 days. So let's say your lease ends at the end of August. We don't want to set your closing date for the end of August. We like to set it for at least August 15th at the latest. So if we have the closing date there and a standard 60-day close puts us at June 15th that we need to write it
Work
by.
backwards.
So we need to write an offer by June 15th. Now you can close quicker. We can try to do those things, but that's a standard rule of thumb we like to use. And then we just backpedal from how long do we think it's going to be, how hard will it be to find a house? Are you looking for something that's really simple, or in that there's a lot of them out there? Or are you looking for something there's not a lot of inventory for? In that case, we want to start the process a little bit earlier.
Right. Like if you're looking for, a home in anywhere in Rochester, as long as it has 3 bedrooms and a big backyard or whatever it might be, you're okay with it. That means that your search is really general, where we might not need to start as early as, okay, Mandy, I'm looking for a 30-acre farm.
Exactly.
That might be, again, definitely going to take longer to find that perfect house for you, so we need to start even earlier.
Great point. Good examples. Okay.
About the examples.
All right. So that finishes up the when do we start. So now the third piece is
sitting down with your agent and really doing a formal, not really formal, but we're already formal. Do a meeting with your agent. We like to call it a buyer consult, where you can really sit down and get into the nitty gritty of exactly what you're looking for.
Yes.
You talk about this one. I talk about this one.
Okay, perfect. So what a buyer consult looks like, and some agents do this. For us, it's really, really important because we want to be able to have the opportunity to learn about you. So this is our opportunity to talk about your goals, talk about your timeline, fill out the home search questionnaire. Like, what do you want? And yes, it's bedrooms, bathrooms, location, but it's also what's important to you. We just had, Michelle, if you're on here too, we just had where an office was so important. So we're like, okay, well, let's brainstorm. Does it need to be an extra bedroom? Could it be a basement space? Can it be, does it need to be on the first floor? Where we're actually digging into not just the specifics, but some extra sort of like feel in the overall feeling of the house too.
Right. Do you like to entertain? Do you want an open concept? Do you want a big kitchen?
Hey, Michelle.
For me, when I bought a house, I was like, I just want an open concept and a fenced-in yard for my dog. It's really important for us to understand those wants and goals and needs, and really categorizing those so we know what's most important to you.
Exactly. And for us, a lot of times the buyers think they know what they want. So they're like, I want a formal dining room. And I think we talked about this before, but we have a first-time home buyer who wants a formal dining room. And I'm like, okay, so does that mean you're going to be like entertaining and Thanksgiving? And they're like, well, my mom lives up the street, so we'll probably never have Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And, you really start to dig into all those conversations. I think the buyer's consult was our favorite part. So much good information and feeling like you really got to know us even from far away. I felt like I knew you from the second I met you, Kayla. So, but yes, those are the conversations that are so important with the buyer's consult. And also, it makes you have to stop and think, and we start to see, if it's a husband and wife buying the house, the husband's like, well, this isn't a priority. Well, this isn't and you start to really feel that out. And it's important for us as we're representing these clients to be able to really know, like, okay, this is what we need to be keeping in mind as we go through.
Yeah, definitely. So what else in consults do you really break down? Obviously we're going to talk about the financing, the timeline, their goals, what they're looking for in their new house. Anything else?
Well, we also introduce our team, and that's our opportunity to show how we work. We are a very unique team in that we have an all-hands-on-deck approach and also a specialization approach. So for us, you're going to be able to know who you'll be in contact with and communication, really to make sure that you're educated. That's also our opportunity to go through a purchase and sale contract, and it's a lot of education for you. And then you as a buyer, that's your opportunity to say, hey, we're ready to get to work for you, or we're ready for you to get to work for us. And those are the conversations that then lead us down to us being able to set up a search and get it so that anytime a property meets the criteria we discussed, like the non-negotiables that we're like, okay, we're not sending you anything that doesn't have 1.5 baths, will get sent to you automatically. And that is so key in this market, because if you're on third-party sites and you're looking, you will miss these properties that come up, especially the hot ones. They're not lasting until it hits that 24 to 48 hours after.
Right. So basically what that means is those third-party sites are your Zillows, your Trulia, your realtor.com, all of those sites. So once a property actually hits the market and agents see it, it can take 2 to 3 days, sometimes less, sometimes more, but on average, that's what we're seeing before they hit the Zillows. So if it's a hot market and it's a hot house where they already have 30 showings the first day, a lot of buyers are missing out on that. So that's why it's really critical to have that consult, understand it, and get that search set up.
And typically by the consult, we're having you connect with a loan officer. So when you do that financing stuff early on, you're coming in and saying, this is the price point that I feel comfortable with. These are the taxes, so that you're leaving that consult and we have an awesome game plan based on your timeline, which then brings us to our fourth point.
Property tours.
Okay,
Is this me? No, that's you. You wear the hat.
Okay.
And tell me, what's your question, buyer?
As a buyer, okay, so now you're sending these properties to me. What do I do?
Perfect. So you're allowed to take off the hat now. So what happens next is we set up your search. We're in, obviously, constant communication the whole time to make sure that your search is exactly what you want. If it happens to be that within a few weeks you're not seeing what you like, we're going to say, hey, okay, Mandy, with your buyer hat, we haven't got a lot of results. Here are a few tweaks that I think that we can make to really open up your search.
Yes.
Once we start seeing houses that we like, that's when we are going and we're actually touring these houses. A good idea is to always start with a quick drive-by. Hey, Abby, I love 123 Main Street. We're going to drive by it today. If we like it, can we go look at it tomorrow at 3? And that really, a drive-by does a ton.
Yes.
It does a ton because it's going to say, oh, gosh, the pictures looked like it had this big backyard, but we could tell, or it was really too close to the neighbors, things like that.
And you always have to think, this seller is working their tail off to get the house ready, that the most painful thing is when someone just does a drive-by and doesn't go in the house because they're like, oh, I guess we thought it had a bigger yard. And they're like, we're just going to drive by, and the seller's, got someone to watch their kids so they could clean the house, and it's a lot. So that drive-by is a very, very important part for our property tours that we recommend to our buyers.
Yep.
Hi, Becky. Hi, Maureen. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yay. So once we actually go and look at the house and we have it scheduled, we often recommend to bring as many people as you'd like. And we don't need to just look at the house once. So maybe it starts with just you as the buyer, and then we could schedule a second showing for, mom, dad, grandma. I know I had my whole family with me when I was looking at houses because I wanted everyone's opinions, and that's really important. So bring as many people as you'd like.
As you feel helpful is what I say. Because sometimes, with our dad, when Abbey was looking, he came to the home inspection and he was like, oh, honey, if anyone knows Jeff Fred, he's like, okay, I've got to make sure everyone's taken care of.
Yeah.
And Abby's like, Dad, I've done this before.
Yeah.
I'm good. So you have to really say, okay, who's going to contribute and who's going to be helping me and really has the eye that I'm looking for versus who's going to be swinging by later on in the process to say, okay, we're already through it. All that
Right, exactly. Jeff Fred is helpful.
He's so helpful.
He's on the helpful side.
Yes, but start thinking about kids. If it's going to be a lot to put them in the car and out of the car, and sometimes you don't have the luxury to not bring them. But start thinking what's going to be helpful and allow you to be able to move quickly from house to house and really be able to be present when you're in the house to be seeing it with clear eyes.
With your buyer hat.
With your buyer hat.
As some would say.
Okay.
So once we do that, then we're really going to review the property. Okay, what do we think? And we always say, it's not my house that we're looking at. If you walk in and say, this just isn't the one, we don't need to keep walking around. If you know, then we say, okay, this one's going to be at the bottom of our list. Let's go to the next one. And so we're going to go through those tours. We often make nicknames for the houses and a rating scale just so we really can, because sometimes we could look at 5-6 houses a day. So we want to make sure that we're keeping those really organized.
Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Kelly.
Awesome.
Yes. So the final thing with property tours is that you have to be aware, and that's when you're having we're having our conversation with our clients to say, hey, we need to make this decision quickly. It's like you might not, if you sleep on it, you might not sleep in it.
I've never heard that
in
before.
This market, if you're sleeping
great.
on it, you might lose it. But there are also where we can have conversations with clients to be able to say, hey, listen, there's, they're delaying negotiations for, a little while, and you can have a little bit more freedom and flexibility in your timeline, but you may have to make a decision quickly, and that's why you just have to emotionally be ready for that, and you'll be prepped. If you're looking at a market that's hot, you're going to know going in if you need to make that decision quickly.
Yep. And that's, case by case, definitely, but your agent will, and we guide our buyers to say, hey, okay, we're about to step in this door. Let's emotionally be ready to go if we do love it, because it is that hot market.
Exactly.
All right, I'm putting my buyer hat on.
Hi, Rachel.
Okay, so I found a house I love.
You did?
I did. I love it. I want to put an offer in on it. What do I do?
So in this market, there's delayed negotiations, which is something that's been unique to this market, where a house could go on the market on Thursday, and previously it was whoever could get in the fastest, whoever could write the offer the fastest, and then the seller felt like, well, I have to respond to this by this time, but I have 10 other showings scheduled for tomorrow. So the listing agents, and I know that our team, that's what Abby's been setting up too, is there is a delayed negotiation period where you have 3 days for the buyers to come through the property, and then we'll be reviewing the offers at the end of those 3 days. And that makes it so the buyers aren't like destroying their lives and like leaving work so that they can see houses, and that we have that little bit of flexibility. So typically you do have, sometimes you have a long time, sometimes you have to do it quickly, but presenting an offer, what we do is we'll then review the market for you. So we'll be able to say, hey, listen, I know it's listed at 100,000. This is what the other homes that have sold in this area in the last year has sold for, and we can nail down how we want to go about that. Our job as a buyer's agent is to get you the home for the best price. In this market, our job as a buyer's agent is also to be as aggressive as we need to be to get the home.
Right.
So it's that balancing act. And, a couple months ago, it was, we've got to be going 10, 15, 20K over asking. Now we're finding there's still multiple offers in some areas, but it's not as intense and guaranteed in every situation.
Yeah, and I think what's important to keep in mind too is, I know when I bought my house, and I can say this because it's myself, is I went in knowing, okay, the market value for my house is this price, but I love it. And it had everything that I wanted, and so I was willing to push the bar. And that's a conversation that we have a ton with our buyers, is to really take a second to think about it and say, okay, I consciously know that I might be paying, a little bit above what it's worth, but it is that type of market, but I love it and I'm ready to make that jump. So again, it's completely a case by case basis, but that's really what we talk through with our clients, to say, okay, here's the value of the house, here's the asking price, this is what we would recommend. Now, what do you think? And we're going to work as a team to get the house, but also make it a good experience as well.
And that's why the buyer's consult is so important, because we know you, we know what you're thinking. So if this is going to be a 3 to 5 year house, we're saying, listen, we're going to have to sell this in 3 to 5 years. It's going to be our job to do that. So we need to be a little bit more mindful that we are paying market value and not going too high. Granted, too high is market value at this point. So
exactly.
There is that balancing, but we want to be smart about it versus, this is my forever home. We're going to be here for 15 years at the minimum. Let's do whatever it takes. And we can help guide you and, give you some suggestions and some extra thoughts. And then ultimately you as the buyer is in the driver's seat. So we review comparables. We really talk about a pricing strategy and a negotiation strategy. We review your finances just to make sure that this house, what it's going to be looking like. So we're not just, putting in an offer of $225,000, is that, at $225, this is what I'm bringing to closing. This is what I'm going to be expecting in my monthly payment. This is what the taxes are going to look like, just as that final confidence booster, so that you really feel like we're going into negotiations strong.
A lot of buyers say, like, what does 200, what does that even mean? I want to know what I need to bring and what my monthly payment looks like. So that's a really good point, that we have our loan officers that we work with break down those numbers and submit them even before a showing.
Yes.
If we know that we're going to jump on it, to make sure that as you're walking around, you say, okay, I feel comfortable with these numbers.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's a great point. So that's the whole point of offers and negotiations. And typically, like I said, sometimes it's delayed. Sometimes, you give them a couple hours to respond. Sometimes you give them a day to respond. So it's a little bit stressful. Everything can be done electronically. So sometimes people are like, well, how do I do this? We are all a technology-based business here. So we can literally send it. We review it with you. If you do want to meet in person, we definitely do that. And if you do want to do it online, we send it to an email, click, 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 and then we're able to work on our end and present it in the best light so that the seller can hopefully pick us.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot of tricks, and extra things that we do as well to really, negotiations, that's a really big part of our job.
That's what we do, and that's what we train for.
Exactly. Whoa, you got
that's what
serious.
We train for.
That was like you were ready. I haven't seen that since lacrosse days. It's what we train for.
Number 9. Okay.
Anyways, okay, ready?
Ready.
My offer got accepted. Yes, as the buyer. So what happens next?
So now I'm assuming that you are getting a mortgage. Now, if there are situations where none of these contingencies are built in, especially in this market, but most of the time after we get the offer accepted, that's when we're having the opportunity for the attorney.
Tennessee.
Tennessee called me. We're getting an opportunity for your attorney to review it to make sure you understand what you're signing, and also the opportunity to have an inspector walk through the house to make sure everything's the way that you want it. And really, it's an opportunity too for you to learn a little bit about the house and learn how it operates, and really make sure that everything that you everything you expected is true. There was no misrepresentations. There's not anything that's leaking or not to code. Those are the real things that we're looking for, and just for you as an opportunity as a first-time home buyer or a buyer who hasn't bought a house in a little while to really understand how that specific house works.
And we have a whole nother Friday with Friends on inspections. So I'm sure it's somewhere on our website. Somewhere. I don't know how I would do that. You know how YouTubers are like, click down.
Click below.
Yeah, it's probably over
We're
here.
still not there yet. We will be one day.
But, there's a whole nother inspection video, and there's so many pieces to that. So definitely take a look at that. And then once the inspection is done, what does that process look like?
So you're applying for your mortgage, and really it's a waiting game. So it's like a hurry up, get the offer, get the inspection, get the attorney approvals, and then you're like waiting. And the bank's going to ask for things a lot, and the attorneys may need things, but really it's our job, and that's where within our team we have a contract to close where she is just detail oriented to make sure that we're hitting all of the dates, we're hitting commitments so that we can hit closing. All of those important things were the title, the survey, that there's nothing that you could be doing besides just for us staying in touch to say no news is good news. We're keeping you posted every step of the way.
Right, because there's a lot of things, the attorneys are doing and your bank is doing, and it's just staying on top of those so we can make sure that we hit our closing deadline, because that's our goal, is to make sure that we're getting as close to that target date as possible.
Exactly.
And I think that's a good point too, is that the closing day on your contract is really just an on or about day. It's a target day. And as long as we're hitting those deadlines that we set, we can really work to get as close to that as possible. But a lot of people say, I'm closing on, July 30th, but we really have to make sure that we remember it's an on or about day, and all parties are working together towards that day. And as we get closer, that's when you really can nail it down.
So you don't own a house in the morning, you attend your closing, and you then
know.
own the house in the afternoon. So what we talked about today was, if you are a first-time home buyer or a buyer who hasn't bought in a while, to give just kind of this high level of what are the steps that you should be taking so that you're feeling educated and confident in the process. And so the first, we talked about what the role of a realtor was. The second, we talked about when to start the process. In the middle, we talked about our buyer's consult. Then we talked about what property tours look like. And the fifth is offers and negotiations. And then 5 is what it takes to get to closing. So we think we hit on all of those.
Ooh, we did.
Hammered them out. So if anyone does have any place that we can be helping and sharing all of this information, maybe getting some more questions to be asked, feel free to invite us in. Someone from our team, we've done this so many times, so we love the opportunity to help more people. And if you are looking to purchase now or in the future, it is never too early to start.
Yep, definitely. So reach out. We'd love to help. Any friends, family. We have another question, do we?
Kayla, we love you. Finding unicorns.
Yay!
We love you, Kayla. So that's it. Friday with Friends. So Friday with Friends is our opportunity to be your realtor of choice as we're talking about all of these questions and creating all these answers for you so that you feel confident in the real estate market. So if you ever have any real estate needs, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to help.
Yeah, happy Friday, guys.
Thank you. Our website is friendonyourside.com if you have any questions or would like to connect with us.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.